You wake up feeling sharp. You have a good night of sleep behind you. You sit down at your desk with your coffee, feeling clear-headed and completely disciplined. You review your trading plan. You know exactly what your edge looks like. You know exactly what criteria need to be met before you risk a single dollar of your capital. The market opens, the bell rings, and you watch. The first 30 minutes are a mess. The price shoots up, traps a bunch of early buyers, and then immediately aggressively reverses, trapping the sellers. It's pure chaotic noise. But you don't care. You are sitting on your hands. You are being disciplined. You watch the amateurs get chopped to pieces while you stay perfectly safe on the sidelines. You feel a quiet sense of pride. You are doing the right thing. An hour goes by. The initial morning volume starts to dry up. The candles get a little smaller. The market settles into a tight, sideways range. It's just bouncing back and forth between two random levels, doing absolutely nothing. You wait. Your setup requires a clear trend, a clear pullback, and a clean entry. Right now, there is no trend. So you lean back in your chair, and the waiting begins. Another hour passes. The coffee is gone. The pride you felt earlier this morning is starting to fade, replaced by a dull, creeping sense of emptiness. You stare at the screen. The candlesticks are barely moving. A tiny green candle prints, then a tiny red one. It is the financial equivalent of watching paint dry. This is where the real psychological warfare begins. Not when the market is crashing, not when you are in a massive drawdown. The most dangerous environment for a day trader is absolute, dead silence. Because human beings are deeply, fundamentally wired to work. Your entire life, you have been conditioned to believe that sitting still means you are lazy. In a normal job, if you sit at your desk for 3 hours and do absolutely nothing, you get fired. You are paid for your action. You are paid for your physical or mental output. So, when you sit at your trading desk for 2 hours and you haven't clicked a button, your brain starts to panic. It tells you that you are wasting your morning. It tells you that you aren't really trading, you are just watching a screen. It whispers that out there, somewhere, someone else is making money, and you are just sitting here missing out. The silence gets loud. The boredom turns into a physical ache. You open Twitter, and you see someone posting a screenshot of a winning trade. That's it. That's the trigger. You switch back to your charts. You are no longer looking at the market objectively. You are looking at the market with a desperate, heavy need to do something. Anything. You need to feel productive. You need to feel the dopamine hit of being in a trade. Your A-plus setup is nowhere to be found. The market is still in a garbage, untradeable range, but your brain is incredibly smart. And when it wants a hit of dopamine, it will lie to you in real time to get it. You start playing with the time frames. You were looking at the 15-minute chart, and the 15-minute chart clearly says, do not trade. So, you drop down to the 5-minute chart. It still looks like chop. So, you drop down to the 1-minute chart, and suddenly, if you squint hard enough, you see something. It's not your setup. It doesn't meet your rules. It is a terrible, low probability, random pattern in the middle of a sideways market. But your hijacked brain immediately begins to rationalize it. Well, you tell yourself, it's bouncing off this minor level. It's a micro support. If I just take a small position here, I can catch a quick scalp to the top of the range. Listen to that logic. You are literally convincing yourself to abandon your entire business plan for the sake of a few random ticks. You start negotiating with your discipline. I'll just risk half my normal amount. I'll keep a super tight stop loss. I just want to get my feet wet today. Just a small trade to get on the board. You are no longer trading a statistical edge. You are paying the market a fee just to cure your boredom. You are putting your hard-earned capital at risk simply because you cannot stand the discomfort of sitting alone with your own thoughts. The mouse hovers over the button. You know it's a bad idea. A quiet voice in the back of your head is screaming at you to stop, to walk away, to just close the laptop. But the silence in the room is deafening. And the urge to act is overwhelming. You click buy. The exact microsecond that your order is filled, the boredom completely vanishes. It is instantly replaced by a massive spike in heart rate. The dopamine floods your system. You are in the game. You are participating. You are a trader doing trader things. But that high lasts for exactly 3 seconds, because the reality of what you just did comes crashing down on you. The market doesn't care that you were bored. The market is still trapped in a random algorithmic chop. The price ticks up slightly. You feel a brief moment of hope. Then, it instantly slams down against you. It ticks back up. It sits exactly at your break-even point for 5 agonizing minutes. You are sweating. Your chest is tight. You are staring at a completely unpredictable, random price movement, realizing that you have zero edge in this trade. You went from being completely safe, calm, and flat on the day to being stressed, anxious, and at the mercy of a sideways market. All because you couldn't sit still. The market finally makes its move. It aggressively sweeps down, hunting the exact tight stop loss you placed. You're taken out of the trade. You are in the red, and the market goes right back to chopping sideways. You sit there looking at your screen. The fog lifts. The desire to trade is completely gone, replaced by a hollow, sickening feeling in your stomach. It's the feeling of self-betrayal. You look at the chart and you can see with absolute painful clarity that there was never a trade there. It was a hallucination. You forced a puzzle piece into a spot where it didn't belong, just to have something to do. If you take a loss on a perfect setup, a trade that meets all your rules, you can accept it. It's part of the business. You brush it off and move to the next one. But taking a loss on a boredom trade? That is a different kind of pain. Because you know that you didn't get beaten by the market today. You got beaten by yourself. You handed your money over to a stranger because you lacked the basic emotional control to just do nothing. And the worst part is the math. Tomorrow, your perfect A+ setup might actually appear. But because you threw away capital today on a boredom trade, tomorrow's perfect trade won't be pure profit. Tomorrow's perfect trade will just be used to dig you out of the hole you created today. You are sabotaging your future wins because of your present impatience. This is how accounts die. They don't usually die in one massive, spectacular crash. They die the death of 1,000 paper cuts. They bleed out slowly, day after day, through tiny, unnecessary, forced trades taken in the middle of dead markets. So, how do you fix this? How do you cure the disease of the boredom trade? It requires a fundamental shift in how you view your identity as a trader. Right now, you define a successful day as a day where you clicked the button and made money. You define working as actively being in a position. You have to destroy that mindset. You need to understand that day trading is not a job of action. It is a job of extreme, predatory patience. Imagine a sniper. A sniper does not run out into the middle of a field and start firing randomly in every direction just because they are bored. If they do that, they reveal their position, they waste their ammunition, and they get killed. A sniper climbs to a high vantage point. They set up their rifle. They check the wind. And then they wait. They might wait for 2 hours. They might wait for 12 hours. They might wait for 3 days and never take a single shot. Is the sniper not working while they are waiting? Of course they are working. The waiting is the work. The restraint is the skill. When you sit at your trading desk and the market is giving you nothing, you are not wasting your time. You are actively protecting your business. Every single time you feel the urge to force a bad trade, and you take a deep breath, pull your hand away from the mouse, and choose to do nothing, you are executing a successful trade. You successfully traded your discipline for the preservation of your capital. That is a win. You have to learn to be proud of the days you make $0. You have to look at a flat P&L at the end of a choppy garbage session and feel a deep sense of accomplishment. Because surviving a terrible market environment without taking damage is a massive victory. But psychology is hard, and sometimes willpower isn't enough. When the silence gets too loud, you need a physical intervention. You need to establish a rule for the dead zones. If you have been sitting at the screen for an hour and there is no volume, no trend, and no setup, you are not allowed to keep staring at the 1-minute chart. The more you stare at the noise, the more likely you are to see patterns that don't exist. Stand up, walk away. Set an alert at the key levels you actually care about. If the price reaches your zone, the computer will beep and call you back to the desk. But until that alarm sounds, get out of the chair. Go read a book. Go for a walk. Go to the gym. Go stare at a wall. Do literally anything other than stare at a sideways chart with your hand resting on the mouse. You must separate your physical body from the mechanism of losing money when your brain is begging for a dopamine hit. The market is an endless stream of opportunities. It will be here tomorrow, next week, and next year. It will provide you with beautiful, clean, high-probability setups that will grow your account. But you have to have the capital left to trade them. Amateurs trade because they want to feel something. They trade for the excitement, for the rush, for the cure to their everyday boredom. Professionals trade to extract money from the market, and when the money isn't there, they happily fold their hands and do absolutely nothing. The next time you catch yourself zooming in on a random time frame, trying to justify a tiny scalp in a dead market, stop. Recognize what is happening. Acknowledge that you are just bored, and then have the ultimate strength to close the laptop. If this hit home for you today, if you know the exact pain of throwing away a good week because of one bored forced trade, subscribe to the channel. We are building a community of traders who value discipline over action and process over dopamine. Protect your capital, master your boredom, and wait for the perfect shot.